Tone, it's Hayden. We back. Mr. Sheldon Williams is joining us today. What's good?
Yeah.
Hey, man, cut that camera on, man. Waiting on you. Boom. 1, 2, 3. All right, we live on the Talking Chit podcast here. Again, special guest today, we got Sheldon Williams, former Duke University superstar, 5th draft pick, Atlanta Hawks. 2005 draft, right?
2006.
2006 draft. There we go.
Yep.
It's all good. Hayden. We're going to wait on Hayden for a second, give him 10 seconds. But,
yeah,
hey, man, go ahead and introduce yourself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? This is Sheldon Williams, former Duke University player. Played professional for 10 years. Was it 6, 7 over in NBA and 3 overseas. Now I live in Atlanta, and I'm doing a lot of things with my foundation. I went from playing to being a West Coast scout for Brooklyn Nets for about 3 years, and then I went and started coaching in the G League for 2 years, and then now I'm doing some things with my foundation to kind of give back to the kids in Atlanta.
That's what's up. I'm gonna unmute you, sir. Give me 1 second here. I see your camera. You good?
He's on mute right now.
Yeah. I got him. I'm gonna unmute. Okay, we good now.
There you go.
There we go. Man, these are fun sessions, man. Hey, man, what's good? You ready?
You still can't hear?
No audio, sir? I don't think you have any audio, man. But, yeah, man, it's good getting you going. I know he'll check in here at some point, man. And this a good interview, man. We're hoping it's going to be a great interview because I know he's excited to talk to you. I'm excited to talk to you. And like you said, you're working with the G League. I'm going to throw a little question out there for you. Today's players, we've seen the young kid from down in Houston forego college and go G League. Do you feel if a player is that good, would you still encourage them to take the one and done path with the NCAA, or are there active scouts that are recruiting or attempting to recruit these kids just as much as the colleges now in the G League?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's some recruiting, especially the way now basketball has changed the whole landscape of how people went from going to college for a year and then leaving to people bypassing college to go overseas and playing for a year, like Brandon Jennings and Manuel Mudiay, those type of guys, and they come back over to the NBA, and now all of a sudden the NBA has seen the progress of what's going on and then developed their own G League team and have now a G League elite team, and now having these players come in and playing for them and getting prepared for the NBA. And now with the NIL, all of a sudden you're getting paid even more so now than what the NBA was over doing for these guys for the G League. But I mean, honestly, for me, it's going to be more so like the people and how they grew up. And, a lot of people weren't as lucky as I was, where I came from a 2-parent home. We weren't wealthy, we weren't rich, but we were okay. So we didn't need for anything. And the thing is, like, I was always told to go to college. My dad was an educator. We are going to college was, thing that we said, from day one for me and my brother. So I was always had in my mind I was going to go to college. I mean, honestly, the NBA wasn't really realistic for me until after my sophomore year, when I had a really good sophomore year. And then all of a sudden I started seeing, oh, there's a possibility that I can go in the NBA. But I didn't have a chance to go to the NBA right out of high school. That wasn't even a possibility. I mean, I was one of the top 10 guys in the country, come out of high school, but I was never thinking about going straight from the high school to the NBA.
Okay. Well, now your situation is from what I'm hearing is you were more a player that had to. There you go. You're live. I can hear you. You can hear us? Can you hear us? Can you say yes, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you. Thank you. But as I was saying, so it sounds like you still were a work in progress where, we've talked about it on past shows where certain people's game has to be developed because it just doesn't automatically transition over into that next level, albeit coming from high school to college to the professional game. It sounds like you had to put in that work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, anytime you have, especially in sports, anytime you go up another level, you're gonna start seeing a lot of different things. I mean, it wasn't the same as in elementary to junior high. It wasn't the same from junior high to high school, and it wasn't from high school to college and then going to pros. But each time you go and you're thinking that you're doing something at your level, and then you go to the next step up and be like, oh, where I've been doing or where I thought was working hard wasn't working hard. All of a sudden, I go to another level and I'm like, okay, this is what working hard is. And then I go ahead and I start, get comfortable with that new level. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, me working hard in high school wasn't working hard in college. I'm like, what I was doing there, that wasn't the same thing as, being in college and, and so on and so on. So my thing is now these avenues that the kids have, they are coming out to be basketball players. I mean, Ben Simmons kind of said it when he came out. He's like, I came to school to be a basketball player and go to the next level. I wasn't coming to school to be no doctor. I wasn't trying to be no lawyer or anything like that. I was coming to be a basketball player. And hey, that was his goal. Whatever you want to say about, whatever about him, he came in, that was his goal. And he used LSU to be that stepping stone to get to the next level. These kids now are, if they're going to be a basketball player, they're trying to be all in. So they're coming in, but hey, I'm going to be taught by, at the time, I think it was like Sam Mitchell was the head coach. I think they changed it to, is it Brian Shaw now? I can't remember who the head coach of the G League elite team now, but they're being taught by these guys to be basketball players and professionals 24/7. They don't have anything to do but become basketball players. So now all of a sudden, what they are doing in high school and now what they're trying to do to achieve their dreams is 24/7 just being a basketball player.
Okay, and I'm gonna circle back to that because that's something that it'll be great to hear you expound on. Hayden, talk to us, man. You in the building?
Well, yeah. No, I mean, so a question for Sheldon. I guess at what age did you really think that I could possibly do this for a living?
Like I was telling Tone when he was kind of in and out, it wasn't really a possibility until after my sophomore year in college. I had a really good year. We went to the Final Four. Unfortunately, we lost to UConn in the Final Four. But all of a sudden, I started getting calls on my phone. But hey, you should at least try out and see where you're at in the draft and things like that. But the thing I was telling Tone, my dad was an educator. He stressed college, and for me, and my brother, and that's something that we was going to do regardless. And I made a promise to my mom when I left home that I was going to get my education and I was going to get my degree. And the thing is, I know a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, you can always come back and get your education." But yeah, that's true. But how many times you see that really happening? Like once you get a taste of like a little bit of freedom, get away from school, you're like, "Why am I going back? Why am I going back?" So I knew that was going to be the case, a big possibility for me. So what I did was I was like, "Hey, I made my mom a promise. If the NBA is there for me and my plans, my future, whatever is going to be there. Hopefully there's no issue with me the next 2 years, injury wise, anything like that, whatever. But I made a promise. That's one thing I was going to do. I upheld my promise, and then fortunately, I didn't have any serious injuries those remaining 2 years, and I was able to continue to play and get drafted. Nowadays you can't really do that because you get faulted for staying 3-4 years versus coming out 1 or 2 years, whatever. So a lot of people, especially when I was scouting, it's like how come he couldn't do this his freshman year? Why you had to wait till the senior year to do that? I mean, people progress and mature and they at their own level, but they seen it as more so potential. Like, hey, I can get a kid that can potentially be X, Y, and Z versus a guy who's a junior and senior. Like he already is X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, what's the difference?
Oh yeah, and another thing is I had to apologize to you for I thought about passing you the ball on that last shot when we were down in Florida in Orlando. Because when JB threw me the ball, I think it was New York Riverside, right? Yeah. And then, I mean, we never really talked about that before. I think it happened like 25 years ago. But like, how would you explain that feeling when we won the national? Some boys from Oklahoma winning the AAU national championship in Florida.
Well, as you know, we didn't get it until later on in high school. Like we were over here, I guess we had our egos or whatever. We were over here battling each other versus like, you know what? Why don't we just team up? Like, I mean, a lot of people doubt Oklahoma. At this time, we won't have no basketball players come out, no notable basketball players come out. Football, yes. Baseball, yes, but not basketball. So we over here battling the whole time, elementary, junior high, all the way up until early high school. Like we was over here battling each other to try to get out of the state of Oklahoma to go to these different places and national level to play. And all of a sudden, like, we got like 2-3 teams competing against each other, wherever, just trying to go out to, the main stage. And all of a sudden, like, I don't know what it was, but we all came together. It was our junior year to go to athletes first type thing, whatever. And we all came together like, you know what? Let's all do this together. Like, if we're going to do something, let's all do together. People are always talking about, like, Oklahoma guys. Like, I remember, like, I don't know if you remember, he was like in Vegas. And like, oh, did y'all ride your horses here? Y'all play basketball out of Oklahoma. Like, I didn't know there was black folks out of Oklahoma. We used to get that all the time and everything. And all of a sudden, like, we go from that to all of a sudden, like, we come together and we was like, oh, yeah, make them jokes about Oklahoma. And all of a sudden, we waxing about 30. And all of a sudden, oh, y'all can actually play. Oh, y'all for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that. I remember watching one game at 6 out. We played against DC Assault. And,
James White.
We over here, we over here in layups and then doing layups, whatever. And all we hear the crowd's like, ooh, the whole time. So we stopped doing layups. Like, what's going on down the other end? And this dude, James White, over here jumping from free throw line. All this stuff over here. And we were like, yo, we ain't never seen anything like this in Oklahoma. Like, ain't nobody taking off from no foul line and doing all that stuff. None of that.
Yeah, because remember remember I got in the van, we was at Crest, and Big Bob was like, y'all got to play against James White. And then I said, who's James White? And then he was like, oh, you going to find out who James White is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, he was super athletic, but back then, he wasn't really a shooter like that. So, as long as we stay in front of him, like, we good. So we wind up, beating him as well, too. But, like, a lot of people didn't, give us any props because they was like, oh, Oklahoma.
Yeah, but we were playing. But our sophomore year, see, a lot of these teams play in their own age group, but we had already played 2 or 3 years older than us, and we weren't afraid to lose. How do you feel about, like, do you think that methodology still works as far as should elite players play against their own age group, or should these AAU coaches should they stop being afraid to lose so that players can get more experience per se?
Well, for me, my dad, like we started out playing together at with the Ponies. And, at that time, I wasn't getting the Ponies, and at that time, I wasn't getting no burn. I was sitting on the bench and everything, and I left the team. and my dad started coaching. And my dad didn't care about winning and losing. He just cared about if I really wanted to play, then we gonna play the right way. And we played up. We didn't play my age group. We played up, whatever. So like at some point, it's gonna click. We didn't care about the winning. We didn't care about the losing. We just want to go ahead and actually play the right way. And if you have fun playing the right way, whatever, things gonna come back to you at some point. And that's something he kind of taught me at an early age, where literally, if I'm going to be out there playing against my own age group, whatever, I'm never going to see me getting better. If I'm playing against like the older kids in the neighborhood, if I'm playing against older, kids in the tournaments and things like that, I got stepping stones. So, all right, I got to measure myself up to this person. This person's playing really well. I got to sit here and see where do I stand against him. Those type of things. I mean, I took a lot of bumps and bruises. Obviously, I was a young kid and everything, so I took a lot of bumps and bruises early on. And it was a lot of times I was questioning myself too. But at the end of the day, like I said, my dad didn't care about the winning and losing. He just cared about the competing. And if you can compete, that right there shows your heart and your character versus anything else.
And I would have to say, what about when we played with Carmelo Anthony overseas when we won the world championship? Yeah. How could you expand upon that experience?
Well, I'm not sure for you, but that was my first time ever out of the country. I mean,
what do you mean that's your country? What do you think? I just go to Paris for the hell of it?
I don't know. I mean, you could have went down to Mexico or something. I don't know. But for me, I had to go out there and get a passport, which I'd never done before. So we
all
doing the passport
did.
thing, whatever. Yeah. And then we over getting in there, and we had our parents wasn't with us, so it was just us out there and everything. So we go to Paris, and we over looking around like, what's going on, and we drive down to a small city called, I think it was Douai.
Yep, that's where it was.
Yeah.
I still talk to Lindsay Davis. I just saw last year, me and Jean Pierre from France. Shout out Jean Pierre and Lindsay Davis. We went out to lunch last year. Jean Pierre.
Okay. Yeah, we out there in a small town in France, in Douai. We got country boys out here in freaking, France. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know no kind of French word other than we. That's the only thing we knew at the time. Like, we didn't know nothing going on and everything. So we out there, and then we had a chance to, play with some really good players. I mean, it was Billy Edelin, Jawad Williams, Carmelo Anthony, me and you, Marquez. Who else was?
Craig.
D'Angelo was on the team too, right?
Yeah, D'Angelo, Craig.
Yeah, we had a lot of,
and that's
we had a lot of good. We had a lot of good players and everything. And
go ahead.
And that was my first time ever seeing Melo. And then Melo, he was literally, my height, doing step backs and a nice quick release. And we over here like, we seen people, have good jump shots. And I mean, Marcus, you had a good jump shot and everything. But Melo, his stuff was like a quick release. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like that. I mean, it was smooth like that. We didn't see that a lot. Like I said, you had a really good jump shot, especially from mid range. And this guy right here had mid range. He had a step back. He had a 3-point. Like he can body you. I mean, he came on in the scene late in our high school career, and all of a sudden, goes to Syracuse and winds up winning in Syracuse and everything. But I mean, it was a great trip to see one outside talent. That was the first time seeing the kid. He went to UConn.
Denham Brown.
He had a really good Denham Brown. He had a really good tournament. We didn't know who that dude was, and he wound up dropping like 30, 40, whatever. I'm like, yo, who is this guy? And then he goes to UConn and everything. They had a monster squad, and we unfortunately wound up losing to them our sophomore year and everything. But they had a monster squad, with that team. But it was a great experience.
So the development of the game now, as you watch players, and we go back and forth with this debate. We go back and forth with this debate about, are the American players focusing on the game? Are they getting better, or are the international players getting better as far as a skill level standpoint?
Well, I'm gonna put it like this. When I was playing in France and I was in EuroLeague, my backup at the time was Clint Capella. Clint Capella was in high school. This guy is playing a professional team in high school. We're not doing that. Over here, we're not doing that. We're playing against other high school teams, whatever. If we're lucky, we might have a scrimmage against like a junior college or something like that, whatever. But we're not playing against older teams like that. These guys are 14, 15 years old playing with professional teams. Like Luka Doncic, he was over here with 14 years old, signed a contract. We still in junior high. And he's out here playing against grown men while we over playing against 13, 14, 15-year-olds in junior high. Like, they are more advanced just because they're able to play against a lot of skilled players at an early age versus us playing against really talented guys, but it's our age.
Gotcha. And so now we go with Amani Bates. Not to throw anybody under the bus. We were talking NIL a couple weeks ago, me and Hayden, and I said, Amani Bates. I'm gonna put it in the perspective like you did. Great upside, but I think he needs to go longer than one and done if he goes to college, because he needs muscle mass. He's a thin guy. He's a very thin guy. So does he now become a flop if he doesn't go one and done?
You said if you go to college, I thought he's at Memphis.
Well, yeah, he signed to go to Memphis to play with Penny next year. But
he's not graduating early.
I thought he has graduated.
Okay.
I mean, to my knowledge, he isn't there yet. But if are we looking at it as a failed mission if he doesn't go one and done? If he chooses to say, you know what, man, I'm gonna bulk up a little bit. I'm gonna soak up the game from being around Penny for an extra year.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it goes back to what I was saying earlier when I was doing my scouting days. These guys look at them like, how come you couldn't do that your freshman, sophomore year? Why not wait 3-4 years to do that? And all of a sudden, they like guys with potential. And like I said, this whole what's that system when the movie Moneyball came out?
Yeah.
The whole
the movie Moneyball.
I forgot the name of that system, whatever. But whatever that system is, they're looking at players that are this height, this frame, could be this person, this player, that type of whatever. That's how you're looking at it like that. And the thing is, like, you look at it like that, but then all of a sudden you watch the eye test, you watch it, I'm like, he don't play no near what you're talking about. But yeah, you're trying to say he's a potential, X, Y, Z, that type thing. And the thing is, it's bad because these guys got to be rushed into making a decision early on, whether they're ready or not. And a lot of times, you got family situations, they need the money, they've seen other people go ahead of them or the same class.
Let me stop right there. And that's a good point, right? Like, for some people, everybody's not coming from a menial situation where they're financially strapped. They're trying to make the league so that they can buy their mom a house, quote unquote, all those cliches that people typically say when they get up to the podium in their first interviews. So if it's a person that's coming from, like you said, a balanced home, like you, both parents, you got core values, goals, the money ain't a thing. Do you risk, or would you advise a kid who has a high potential upside to focus on development and being around the game longer and make the money on the back end with a bigger contract as they develop? Because Kobe wasn't great when he stepped into the league. He had to work on it. He had to get to what we saw, in his final days. But Kobe wasn't great, quote unquote, coming out the gate. He just had a high upside. So if your financial situation is okay, but you are the phenom, would you and I'm just trying to put you in a situation, if you're a D1 coach now, would you tell this kid, hey man, I'm gonna be straightforward with you, you're probably gonna need 2 seasons here?
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but at the end of the day, you only have one opportunity, and that opportunity is not guaranteed. That's the reality of things. Like, the opportunity may not be there next year. Like, we've seen players that, we're going to sit there and stay, and then all of a sudden they went from a lottery pick to not even drafted. just because they stayed the extra year. On the flip side, we've seen people who stayed and went from, late first round, second round, whatever, to lottery too. So like I said, it's hard to judge that just because opportunity doesn't always come knocking like that. And when it does come knocking, like you said with Kobe, he was living his dream. Even though he wasn't ready out the gate, he was already living his dream. He was already getting paid a lot of money. And on top of that, if something happened, he's still okay to do whatever he wants to do later in life versus a kid that chooses college and may not be able to make that same amount of money as a professional, because as a professional athlete, you don't have a small window anyway. So you got to maximize the most you can out of that small window, because after that, you got to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life.
Yeah, we saw it this past season with the contracts negotiation with the guard out of the Lakers, who turned down the bigger deal, waited till postseason, a free agency. Yep, and he did not get anywhere near that.
He went from turning down, I think it was like $80-something million to getting a $5 million
deal. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, shoot, we seen a couple years ago, Nerlens Noel. He was at Oklahoma City at the time, and then he had a good year. He was trying to get the market. He was trying to get the extra $5 million, whatever, and wound up not getting it. And the market wasn't there. It dried up real quick on him. And all of a sudden, he went from, I can't remember the name and the amount of money, whatever, but it was a lot of money, to all of a sudden sign a 1-year deal for like maybe $2-3 million.
With that type of pipeline and stuff like that, and that's why I was talking to Tone as far as bringing you on and talking about your foundation and things of that sort. And instead of recycled, we could do some prefix, as far as fixing some of these problems and stuff like that,
And I totally agree. I had an event back in Oklahoma about a month or so ago, and I was talking to my mom about this. I'm like, because when we were in high school, we had VOTEC. I'm not sure if y'all had VOTEC or anything like that, but we had VOTEC. So kids that knew that they weren't going to go to college for whatever reason, they were able to be exposed to different traits. And a lot of these people were able to take advantage of that, where their dads are mechanics, or, like you said, plumbers, or, things that are still good jobs, but yet we live in a world where we're on IG and looking at people's best life and not understanding that this is people's best life. They're not posting the worst. They posting the best of what they're doing. They're not posting the worst. They're not posting real life. Like, a lot of these people over here, like, they'll sit here and be in a side rooms and say, like, oh, I'm in first class, and then all of a sudden they really in some kind of, like, made up pop-up shop, that this type thing. People don't understand that, like, there's a lot of fake and fronting on that, but yeah, a lot of people get caught up into the whole glamorous life of what people post versus reality. And reality is, there's nothing wrong with making a living for yourself and your family, whether it's plumbing, mechanics, whatever. You don't have to always sit there and say, oh, I want the glamorous life of being an athlete or being on TV or things like that. To me, being a success is taking care of yourself and your family. That's being a success. Whatever it is that you're doing legally.
And that's really that's what I respect about your social media platform. You're genuine, and you're not afraid to touch subjects that most people who have had celebrity status will not even discuss. And what I mean from that, like, you'll jump on the justice and the activism and say how you feel. And I totally respect that. And a lot of people will shy away from that, you know what I mean? Because they don't want to interrupt brand, from whatever endorsement deals that they may be tied into, things of that nature. I do respect the fact that you tell it how it is, man. So that's what's up.
Yeah, but my thing is, you can't interrupt a brand that's interrupting you. You know what I mean? Like, literally people are like me, look like me, are being targeted at a alarming rate. Like, it's been going on for a long time. It's nothing new. It's just now that you see it on a daily basis on all platforms. Back then, it was like word of mouth or maybe like, in the press type thing, whatever. But now it's to the point where we see it and still nothing is really being done. And that's a sad thing. And I'm over I'll talk to my daughter about these things and everything. Like, I got to have special talks with her. And if I had a son, it'll even be a different type of talk with him. And my thing is, I really shouldn't have to have these type of talks with somebody who should be enjoying themselves as a kid.
Right.
Like, shouldn't be these serious talks about what you need to do in these type of situations, but it's necessary because of what the times are. And that's just how it is.
That's true. And with fatherhood, as you're speaking on that, what's the best and worst experiences thus far of being a parent?
The best and the worst experiences of being a parent. That's a good question, because I always tell myself, if I had a son, a lot of stuff that my daughter be doing, it wouldn't fly. And just because she's my daughter, I got a special soft spot and everything like that, whatever. I allow a lot of things because of that. And I had to get used to the whole emotional side of things with her. And that's something that, from where my dad, brought me and my brother up and everything, it was like different. Like, he say something, whatever, and that's what it is. There's no tell me why or explain it, anything like that, whatever. Like, I feel myself like shit.
Hey man, it happens like that. We get that a lot in our conversations when we talking personally, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but you were saying before the disconnect, and but let me plug it like this, man. This happened to the best of them. I watch a lot of EYL and Earn Your Leisure, and they constantly having glitches on there, man. So Zoom, man, we love you, but fix it though. But yeah, Sheldon, yeah, you were saying, there's a special soft spot for your daughter as a parent, and if you got a son, you'll be a little more firm with him.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, you kind of go back to what you know, and what you know is like how you were brought up and how things were. But I feel like this generation is different than the generation that I grew up, just because there's more talking, more explaining versus because I said so. There's or the threatenings and things like that. So the thing is I don't really have to even really punish my daughter. I raise my voice, and then all of a sudden, she starts crying, and she's apologetic and things like that. So she gets it like that. But it's a lot different because, like I said, with the girls, I literally had to check the way I talked to her, because the way I was talked to when I was a kid and the way I would probably talk to my son is a lot different than me talking to her. And she shuts down if I sit there and try to yell and scream at her. So I got to figure out other ways to kind of get to her and connect with her, even when she seems to be all over the place or not listening. And that's something I had to really learn as I kind of grew with her.
Now, now I'm a transition, but just a one-liner. Are you going to try to push her into sports?
No, see, that's the thing. I never try to push her into sports, but she just tried out for sports this week and she's 7th grade. She made the 8th grade volleyball team. Okay. So hopefully that this is something that kind of clicks, because I'm like, you 12 now. Like, hey, when it's going to happen? Like, what I'm saying? Like, when it's going to happen? I was playing 3-4 sports since I was 6 years old, and now all of a sudden, like, you're 12. I'm like, you can't be no 6'4" gymnast. I mean, at some point, you know what I'm saying? At some point, hopefully it clicks and everything. But my thing is, like, I can't never push somebody to do something just because I like it, just because I love it, whatever. Because all of a sudden, you see parents do that with other kids, and then also they get burned out. And they don't never touch the sport again. So that's something I didn't want to do. And obviously, she has two parents that's been at the highest level in the sports and everything. So it's in her. It's just that I don't know if she wants to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, and to your point, you know, we witnessed that play out on film with Snoop Dogg and his son. You know, his son went all the way through. They pushed through, and he got to USC. And a couple of days before the season started, and said, "Hey, man, I'm out of here, man. I was just doing that, and this is not what I want to do." But you know, another thing that I've noticed is, you know, Duke has a strong line of assistant coaches that progress on to become Division I coaches at some point. I mean, I noticed you had Johnny Dawkins, right? Was one of your assistants.
Yeah.
I know him from the Philadelphia 76ers. Also, Wojciechowski, who was a former Duke player. And that's another guy. That's another guy I was looking at. So, you know, my question to you, are there any aspirations to go back to the coaching ranks in college, or are you looking for long-term becoming a professional NBA coach?
Honestly, I haven't really put a lot of thought into that. As of right now, I'm enjoying kind of being able to have the freedom to actually come out and spend time with my daughter during the, you know, quote unquote NBA season. Because like when I was coaching, I could only see her maybe once a month if I had a chance to kind of have a free weekend and fly out to LA to see her. But it's tough during those 6-7 months where the season, and I can't really see her other than through the you know, the FaceTime or, you know, just kind of talking to her. So right now I'm kind of just enjoying being out here. Like I've been out here for about almost 3 weeks now. So just being out here, being able to be with her and kind of seeing her and enjoying that part. So I can't really put much into it right now, just because like I love basketball, but also, you know, I love my daughter too. So it's kind of finding that balance to see how I can do both, or find something I can do that has both.
Gotcha. Yeah. Hey, what you got?
So, no, I mean, so have you reached out to JJ about his retirement?
I talked to him yesterday. We kind of DM'd each other, but I didn't realize he was going to retire later on that day. So we was over there talking about, I had posted something about, it was pizza, like we were in school. Why was the little square rectangle pizza so good when we were in school? I had posted something about that, and he kind of commented on it, and we started talking about that, and we were talking about, you know, just, you know, life and kids and things like that. And all of a sudden, later on that day, he retired. I was like, he didn't say nothing about that during the, you know, conversation we were talking. So I was like, oh, okay, well, congratulations on the career. I mean, I didn't know that was even a, you know, a thought, whatever. But he was like, yeah, I'm about to head out to the golf course. And then a couple hours later, I see the news that he actually go ahead and retires.
Well, you know, he wasn't happy with that situation a couple seasons back when he was in trade talks, and he was saying that he was trying to get up to the Brooklyn Nets. I know that was one.
He lives in Brooklyn.
Yeah, right. And he wanted to be closer to family. So that was a thing for him when a couple seasons, I think it was the bubble season, where he thought he was going to get traded back. So, yeah, I guess it was the right time for him to retire, man.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought Lakers were probably going to scoop him up. I was like, a veteran shooter. They need somebody to kind of, you know, spread the floor and everything too. Add another veteran to the team. You know, that type of thing, because, you know, they picked up all kinds of veterans. So I thought that would have been a good fit for him if he's going to be able to come back for at least one more year, or at least one more push to try to get a ring and everything. But I thought that would probably been one of the best situations for him. But then again, you know, you got to do what's best for him and his family and his, you know, his body too. So he knows his body too. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was pretty much all my questions, Tone, unless you got some more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna hold it much long. We got it. I got a couple questions. So I'm gonna throw the curveball question out there. Hot topic right now. Hot topic. Drake or Kanye?
Is it old Kanye or new Kanye?
I guess we got to go with the times. New Kanye.
I'm saying because this new Kanye, I'm not really feeling that all too much. That's the only thing. Like, it's crazy because Drake, other than Jay-Z, Drake is the only guy I've seen in the rap game to be going on for decades, over a decade, and be at the top of the list for over a decade. Like, I haven't seen that other than Jay-Z to be on the top of the list for over a decade. He's done that for a couple of decades.
Right. Well, I have two questions here. Obviously, we went through this crazy pandemic. How did you grow as a person over the pandemic, personally and professionally?
So over the pandemic, I was able to tap into some things that I kind of put on the back burner for a while. One being my foundation stuff. Two, tried my hand at like some broadcasting or analyst type thing, whatever. So I started my IG Live podcast type thing during the pandemic. It kind of get used to if I like it, things like that, kind of being on the other side of the microphone for a change. So I started doing those type things. And then also it reminded me that life is short. I mean, something like this kind of take away your normal routine, like looking at family, not able to kind of spend time with family as much as you want to, letting other things kind of get in the way with that. That kind of took a back seat. Like, you know what? Thinking about like things that I really want to do, I really haven't had a chance to, because when it's all said and done, things that you can't take with you. I mean, you can't take with you. And I was able to, I've been wanting to go to Africa for a while. And the last week of August, I saw this deal to go to Egypt. And now I know why it was a deal, because it was the freaking hottest time of the year. It was 115 the whole time and everything. I don't know why it was a deal. But I had a chance to go I had a chance to go over there to Egypt, and I was out there for about a week and everything to see the pyramids and things that lasted for over 2,000-3,000 years are still standing, which is crazy because you see houses over here being, falling down and rotted out, things like that. But yet they have nothing, nowhere near the technology we have now, and it's still standing 2,000 years later and everything. So it was kind of cool to kind of see that and the history of that and everything. But yeah, for if you're looking to go to Egypt in the summer, especially late summer, do not go, because it's 115 and it's gonna wear you out. Hey, ain't no deal that good though.
Yeah. It literally has been the hot spot. I've seen it on social media. There's been quite a few people on my timeline that went in and had that experience. I'm hoping to go to Tanzania at some point in the upcoming months. Would probably be my first opportunity to visit Africa, and I'm sure it'll be pretty interesting because I have a friend over there that has chosen to move from the States to Africa permanently, and he says he's loving it, and he's not coming back. So I guess that's what it is. That's the wave.
I've done a lot of traveling, but I can't say there's any place I've been to that I'm not going to choose that over home. I ain't going to lie to you. I mean, there's so many options over here in the States to go to. If you don't like where you're at, you can actually go to another part of the country. And it's still, to me, it's going to be better than anywhere, overseas. And like I said, it's nice to go visit, but to stay, nah, I'm good on that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and then I just want to circle back to the G League. We started talking about it, and you was talking about the elite team process. For your atypical superstar kid athlete coming out, like I think his name is Jalen, right? I can't recall the last name.
Green?
Houston.
Jalen Green.
Yeah. I mean, like, what's the regimen day in and day out? I know you said it's all basketball driven, but like, what is it? Just making a player feel as though they're going, putting them in that NBA atmosphere of travel, practice, that type of.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, you get some of that. but that's not the big focus. The big focus is like player development. That's going to be huge for guys like that leaving out of high school because you skipping a step in college to go straight to grown men. So player development is something that they big on. So you might be doing like 1 or 2 days of practices of just player development, going full out. Like I say, because you have school, getting ready to do routine. And then on top of that, you have situations where you're learning things off the court, like how to handle finances, how to handle the pressure of the NBA life, how to be able to handle things that, with girls off the court, these type things, kind of classes kind of help teach you and prepare you for what's going to happen. Obviously, you're going to have situations where people think it's a joke or people kind of just brush it off. Then all of a sudden you see situations later on, which is unfortunate, later on that they are caught up in. And he's like, hey, how come they didn't tell them? Like, hey, we did. It's just that when you're on your own and you start getting all this money, all of a sudden, oh, I got to take care of my people back home. I got to take care of people's people. And all of a sudden, oh, I'm broke now. And where my people at? They all gone by the wayside. They don't. Yeah. So it just, a lot of these programs are there to kind of help these kids understand and learn because they have stories from so many, unfortunately, so many players that were in that position, and they trying to help them out and trying to pay it forward to these new kids, and hopefully they're able to listen. But you can only give them the information, like the old saying, like you can only lead a horse with water, we can't make him drink.
And the experience of being a newfound millionaire, signing that contract, understanding how to manage that money. How hard is it once the money starts rolling in, plus the game checks, plus your per diem of travel? How hard is it really to manage all that money coming in?
Well, I mean, everybody's different. I mean, I was able to go to 4 years of college. So when I came on the team, when I got drafted, I was one of the youngest team. It was in Atlanta, and I was like the third or fourth oldest guy on the team when I got on the team. So like when I got there, I had 3 big purchases when I first got my first check. I was able to pay off my parents' debt. I bought my house and I bought my car. Other than that, I had nothing else ever. I was never the type to go in and try to be super flashy. Because a lot of people don't understand, because a lot of these rookies will be next to a veteran guy, not knowing that this guy's been in the league for 10 plus years, and yet you want to do what he's doing already right now. Like, no. If you take care of your stuff over, you can go ahead and get that later on. You can't sit here and try to like, oh, I want the new coat, I want the Lamborghini, I want, all the stuff he got going on. Like, no, you got 10 years worth of checks. Yeah, and you up here in your first year, like, calm down, slow down. You know what I mean? That type thing. So, and like I said, we in a situation where the Instagram and social media, like, people want to be super famous and super fly and, that type thing. And then, unfortunately, there's situations that happen like that where these guys are putting themselves in a hole.
And I know there's been, documentation like Shaquille O'Neal, prime example, has gone back and acquired several degrees. Do they push you? Are they always, or is there anyone talking to you about life off the court while you're playing?
Yeah, they have NBA programs, NBA player programs for guys and athletes when they get done playing or close to getting done playing. They kind of see what you want to do. So they set these programs up. It just, a lot of times when you're actually playing, you're not really thinking about the end just because you're in a moment and trying to stay in that moment and trying to stay on the team and, trying to, feed your family, that type of thing. So you're not looking at what you're trying to do later on. But once you think you're getting close to the end, some players are able to actually like look into like some of these programs where they have like a real estate program, they have education where you go back and get your education program. They have I want to say NBA office programs if you want to do something like that with the office side of the things where you can do the GM, the coaching, that type thing. Just like a lot of different programs. So they do have that. It's just up to you to actually take advantage of that and try to do it.
Yeah, I see that Mike Dunleavy Jr. Looks like he's benefited from that program where he's the general manager now of the Golden State Warriors. So shout out to him. Shout out to him.
Yeah, it also helped that the GM was his agent, so that helps.
Keep it in the house.
I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there, you know. And his daddy used to be a coach, but you know, that's another story. But man, let's close out respectfully in regards to your program, man. Plug your foundation. Tell us a little more about it.
Yeah, my foundation, Sheldon Williams Foundation. You can find it on the Sheldon Williams Foundation.com website for all the latest things. I'm on IG as well. My personal Sheldon Williams with E-N, Sheldon with E-N Williams, and then the foundation, the Sheldon Williams Foundation on IG as well. So just helping out inner city kids and underprivileged kids to kind of be exposed to new things that they wouldn't necessarily get a chance to be exposed to. Just kind of use the sports to kind of entice these kids to kind of come in and kind of let them know about their education when they leave. So just kind of help out and trying to get back and pay forward to the next generation.
Is it based Atlanta or your hometown?
So it's both. I live in now, but I go back and forth between Atlanta and Oklahoma City for my foundation events.
All right, man. Again, thank you again for your time, Mr. Sheldon Williams, man. We appreciate you. And it's a wrap.